Welcome to Draconian, your podcast for news and updates in Hong Kong and Taiwan. I'm your host, William.
Hi everyone, welcome to the first episode of the Draconian podcast in 2024. In this episode, we will be rounding up events that happened within Hong Kong and Taiwan in the second half of 2023. If you would like to learn more about what's happening in these two regions, please subscribe to our podcast, whether you are listening from your favorite podcast app or directly from YouTube or its music app. So, in this episode, we will just be discussing some of the largest stories that happened in Hong Kong and Taiwan in the second half of 2023. So, let's start. Let's start on news or on events that affected Hong Kong the most in the second half of 2023. So, the first one is the application of the National Security Law. The governments continued their wide range of activities that hope to clamp down on whatever remaining that can be considered dissident. This included various methods of various protest groups and various social movement groups, which included the League of Social Democrats being arrested multiple times for multiple events happened within this year. It also marked this second half of 2023, also marked the start of the show trial of Jimmy Lai, which actually received widespread condemnation from the global society. Furthermore, the 47 people case are also under extra scrutiny at the same time, as people are arguing if exercising constitutional rights may warrant a violation and a subsequent arrest and jail under the national security law, as we are seeing how the society or how the political sphere within Hong Kong have become much more restricted than ever, with this trend being now trying to seep into other in other industries or in other areas of social life, which now includes, for example, social discussions or discussion of policies which are unrelated to the national security law directly, and another example is at the education industry. And as we are talking about this, we are actually also witnessing the incorporation of the national security elements into local regulations. For example, rules related to broadcasting and even in education system, etc. And as we have just talked just now, the education reforms are also trying to add as many national security and patriotic elements as possible, as the government consider one of the mandatory subjects under the DSE curriculum, liberal studies, as the main reason for all the societal issues that rocked Hong Kong in the past 10 years, which started just basically from 2012 till now. Furthermore, the government's National Security Department for enforcing the national security law, have also ramped up its way to so-called announce bounties on individuals who are accused of national security laws. This included quite a lot of people and even included citizens, non-Hong Kong citizens, although they may have previously resided in Hong Kong. And as the opposition or the now basically this integrated opposition has also been shedding light on how the government is surveilling various previously pro-democratic people or pro-democratic workers or movement organizers, as they are trying now to use a very communist way of securing or similar to how Stasi worked in the DDR during the 70s and 80s, recruiting previous social movement organizers to survey or to carry out surveillance for the government itself. So this is a little bit about the political development, and now is about a little bit about the economic development. So the economic outlook within Hong Kong actually got worse, even basically after the start in 2023, when the government opened borders between Hong Kong, or the China opened borders between Hong Kong and China. As a result, the government actually introduced various initiatives to boost the lackluster economy, with two major campaigns, one of them as Hello Hong Kong and the other one as Night Vibes Hong Kong, being the core to attract tourists and so-called boost the economy as possible. However, basically a lot of events that happened, or the not only the rocket launch, but also the events themselves and the rebranding of some really already recurring events have actually taken a toll for a possible success for a branding of this whole idea or of these two main campaigns. The government in Hong Kong also tried to say Hong Kong is back by organizing various economic forums and basically organizing various activities to attract foreign direct investment or attract foreign companies to open up regional headquarters in Hong Kong. However, the result of this seems to be mostly that attracted mostly Chinese companies to open its regional or its global headquarters within the city. As a result, basically people are dubbing the society or dubbing Hong Kong as a part of China or as just a tier 1 city within China instead of Asia's global city as advertised by the Hong Kong SSR government from the early 2000s. And basically this whole discussion also directly resulted in a meme about this, although in Cantonese it's something like, I don't know why you feel so dim or so gloomy for the future of Hong Kong. However, I see the goods or the positives from how this society emerges from or improves from its status from a so-called rule to prosper, or in Chinese is 有治及興,有志及興, or something like that. So these are events that happened, or these are the main stories that happened in the second half of 2023 in Hong Kong. Next, we will talk about some also very important events that happened within Taiwan that actually shaped its social, economic, and political spectrum, or its political landscape. So first, we are seeing the presidential and legislative yuan elections now going in its full swing in Taiwan, as we are seeing the opposition fail to secure a joint ticket to run for Taiwan's election. We are also seeing one of the latest announcement of its intention to run, or the latest announcement of the vice presidential candidate in history, in the ROC or Taiwan's presidential election history. Furthermore, candidates, not only for the presidential election, but also for the legislative yuan elections, faced extra scrutiny on their own portfolio or their own previous doings and wrongdoings. And actually, this has directly resulted in some of them being forced to abandon their bid because of some very traditional values, or how they are not harnessing or acting as a role model for traditional values. However, they seem to have only affected a candidate from the ruling party, which in fact actually the idea of extra scrutiny also actually affected various parties as well. For example, the DPP, most of them are talking about any possible signs of corruption for the DPP, and they are also talking about for example supporting the right to live, and basically supporting other policies, or they have so-called so they have returned somewhat like a results table, or a tick or a sheet that basically marks their accomplishments or their misaccomplishments within the past 8 years of DPP's ruling. For the Chinese Kuomintang, it's about their stance against China, and also its ability to rule local municipal governments, as we are actually seeing, although the Democratic Progressive Party is controlling the central government within Taiwan, actually local governments are mostly controlled, apart from two of the 15 prefectures or 15 regions. Most of them are actually controlled by candidates or by KMT aligned governors. For the Taiwan People's Party in this election, it seemed actually for them to try to rally its hate against the two-party system, and basically it seems that everyone is using hate as the main method to rally supporters to vote for them and attract new possible supporters, I don't know, by saying that other people are so bad or worse than you. It's somewhat a worse form of whataboutism, but this seems to be the DPP's how the three main parties work. For the Democratic Progressive Party, they are questioning if other parties can staunchly oppose China's coercing efforts or efforts to coerce Taiwan into submission. For the TPP, Taiwan's People Party, they are questioning if this two-party system actually works best for Taiwan and label them as the other choice or the third choice or something like the third way. And the Chinese Kuomintang questioning whether the 8 years of ruling by the Democratic Progressive Party actually brought a net positive to the self-governing island, while saying that Taiwan basically lacks everything, although we are seeing Taiwan's economy actually grew in a faster pace than the 8 years under Ma Ying-jeou's, the former KMT's presidents, the ROC president who represents the Chinese Kuomintang ruling. Albeit there were the Chinese-U.S. trade war, worsening tensions between Taiwan and China, and the pandemic itself. So next, we will talk about the national defense. So national defense seems to be a major core talking point within Taiwan's landscape as well. We have seen calls to indigenize the defense industries basically since 2016, and in this year, it's actually bore its first fruits, as seen by its indigenous submarine program and a light frigate program. Both of them have completed its main hull and are able to so-called run in water, or basically now these hulls are being launched or officially launched as a product. However, a Chinese Kuomintang or the opposition affiliated legislator were accused for leaking secrets to foreign governments as to so-called build up barriers against the national defense. And also the legislator actually denounced any NDAs that were originally prepared for them by them to sign as to just to prevent any of these problems or to prevent secrets from leaking. Furthermore, the government, the DPP controlled government also announced an extension of mandatory military service to 1 year from 4 months amidst the rising crisis of the possibility of an invasion from China to end the self-rule status of the island after the civil war was largely won by the communist forces in 1949. This marked as the first reversal of the trend of a decreasing military service period, or military service total period of military service since the 1990s, when tensions between Taiwan and China started to decrease at that time. Furthermore, they also announced plans to reform the training of these conscripts as to improve the overall combat effectiveness and to remove some of the lessly desired or less desired trainings that seem to have no use to the current multi-domain war that we will see not only in various wars but also in some of the so-called so-called boundless wars or multi-domain, which involve the country not launching any military activities but tries to coerce other countries through economic means or through other various means. Furthermore, in the second half of 2023, Taiwan was also plagued by I can't say fake news, but misinformation. Not this, but misinformation. For example, for X. So the opposition actually tried to attack the ruling party of corruption through X by so-called intentionally limiting X supplies so as to profit it from awarding contracts to other parties or parties that are connected with the ruling party. It also created immense pressure on some of the people that are involved in securing egg supplies within Taiwan, and actually forced the Minister of Agriculture to resign. Albeit the lack of eggs actually seems to be of less than 10% of the monthly need, it actually created a hysteria and actually basically skyrocketed the egg price to not a normal price, but 3 times or 5 times the normal price, just because of a 10% decrease. Although even when eggs itself is actually not a part of a statutory diet or as a base diet for people within Taiwan. So these are the top events that happened in Hong Kong and Taiwan in the second half of 2023. We hope you find this roundup informative. If you do, please subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss any single episode or don't miss a weekly news roundup offered by us. If you have any feedback or would like to learn more about news or events that happened in Hong Kong and Taiwan, please subscribe. If you have any comments, please let us know in the comments or drop us an email at william@draconianpod.com. Thanks again for listening to the Draconian Podcast, and thanks for support for the past half year for our rocky launch to slowly building a solid base for our broadcast. We will be back tomorrow for the latest episode that will discuss last time news and events that happened in about Hong Kong and Taiwan in 2023. Have a good new year, have a happy new year, and goodbye. See you tomorrow.